सन्नो भवत्वर्यमां सन्नो इन्द्रो बृहस्पतिः सन्नो विष्णुरुक्रमः नमो ब्रह्मणे नमस्ते वायो त्वमेवं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्मासि त्वमेवं प्रत्यक्षं ब्रह्म वदिष्यामि ऋतमवदिष्यामि ऋतमवदिष्यामि तन्मां सुभद्रा
जय बालादेव जय बालादेव जय बालादेव जय सुभद्रा सुभद्रा
Ratha Yātrā
चलो 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 Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Jai templos.
Fuera de ahí. Pero seguro que los templos. Hola, quiero azar. I don't know.
Question and answer session. The devotees have any philosophical questions, I can try to reply. Next half hour or so. No papers? Somebody wants to write that. A small group, you can just say whether somebody prefers it.
We explain to new people the glories of what is Srimati Radharani in our devotional service.
how to explain the glories of Srimati Radharani to new people.
Or what is
Who is she? Well, she's the original energy. She's like the sun and sunlight. What is the meaning of sun without the sunlight? So Krishna is Shaktiman and his energy is Shakti. So she's the Adi Shakti. She's also specifically the Alahari Shakti. She's the pleasure potency. Krishna is one and he made himself into two. So he does things to his energies. Just like in the government, they have ministers and secretaries and so many people that perform. The president of the country, he may pass some all shops built illegally on the side of the street will be torn down. But the president doesn't want to tear them down himself. He has police, ministers, so many other people that execute his order, right? So Krishna has energies and they execute his order. Some are for executing orders, some are for giving him pleasure, some are for performing different functions. He's got Bahuda has so many energies in it, and they're executing their functions. So amongst them, Radharani is supreme energy.
Pausa.
Traveling word, meaning Mayavadis. When we face a group of Mayavadis that are very strong and what is the most logical way to approach so we can establish from the point of the Shastras what we are saying is fully backed up by Shastras?
The way to say, to prove that what you're saying is fully backed by Shastra is by quoting Shastra. If you know that whatever we're saying, it's backed up by Shastra. It's like in the last verse of the Bhagavad Gita, 14th chapter, Krishna says, Brahmano Patistaham. I am the foundation of impersonal Brahman. Like that, there's so many different verses which support whatever the points are. But sometimes there are innocent people that are really open, that you can preach to them. Sometimes there are people who are like hardcore Mayavadis. Doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter how much you defeat them, they don't want to accept. But somehow in their brain it's already got short-circuited so long that it doesn't going to be circuited correctly very easily. So Prabhupada said that if they're not envious and if you can get them not to talk when they're in the temple or with the devotees, then they're just intentionally contaminated. And one way is engage them in service. And then by doing service over a period of time, devotional service, and gradually they have a change in heart. I knew one person, he was really hardcore Mayavada. He used to meditate naked in his closet, all kinds of foul stuff. He was really into the impersonal thing. So we tried when I preached to him about Brahmano Patistaham and showed it, he said, oh, he went like he was a nervous breakdown. No, I can't read. He's like completely, I never saw someone go like completely banana, just over a philosophical point. I can't talk to him anymore. It's too much for me right now. It's like, wow, it's like a big shock for me. So then I left. The next day I came and was real happy, and everyone said, oh, what happened? Well, I called up this Sanskrit professor and asked him, what does this mean? Here it says, Brahmano Patistaham. I am the base of the Brahman. And how is it we're always saying that Brahman is the base of Krishna? How here it says Krishna is saying, I am the basis of Brahman. Oh, that means the four-headed Brahman. Which is totally bogus. It's completely bogus. Now the purport says that this does not at all refer to the four-headed Brahman. It's the whole verses, the whole section is talking only about Brahman. But anyway, the guy was so happy. I survived my bogus philosophies of my other philosophy. But he was a real nice guy. He used to come to temples, sweep the floor, help us get government permissions. He's an influential man. So I saw okay, this guy is one of these tough nuts that Paul was talking about. So we just engaged him in service. One day he came to the temple with a little brochure. It said the path of Jyoti or something. So look at it, it's okay. Nicely put in this book, but you can't just do it here. Keep it there. We just been real nice. The guy engaged in come every week to the temple, chant Hare Krishna. After a few years, he told me that, I'm starting to see what you're talking about. We took years together chanting and social glory, and finally, one day, clicked. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Brahman is his effulgence. It took years. And some people are like that. Doesn't matter what, even if you defeat them, they're not going to accept. So if you get someone like that, then don't waste your time. Then just instead, don't. So whatever it is, there's only one absolute truth, and all the Vedas say this is a preach about chanting the holy name and avoid it. Because anyway, even Mayavadis agree to chant Hare Krishna. But if you get someone who's really willing to listen, it's better one-on-one. If you got a whole group of Mayavadis, then they're going to gang up on you. It's not. Otherwise, it's always recommended you can start asking them questions. What you're telling you, start asking questions, nobody had the answer. If you ask certain questions, the certain, right to the point questions, and my bodies don't have the answer, then that's another way of getting it. You want to defeat the Mayavadis, your best bet is the 7th chapter, Adi Lila Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Lord Chaitanya was discussing with the Prakasananda Saraswati and all the Mayavadis of the night. He gives all the main arguments there, very succinctly. At one point when Prabhupada went to India, he put up that chapter as a separate book, called it Lord Chaitanya in 5 features. Or something like that, or absolutely 5 features. Lord Chaitanya, 5 features, something like that. Just that chapter. That chapter is especially all the defects of Mayavada, not all, but at least the main ones. There's one book by Ramanuja Madhvacharya, one of their followers called Mayavadi Sattva. He was like a Madhvacharya. The 100 defects of Mayavadi philosophy. There's all kinds of works out there for Mayavadi philosophy doesn't make any sense if you actually apply it right. If somebody's already short-circuited their intelligence and they don't really apply it right, they just can't do it. So try to kind of judge when you preach to people whether they're hardcore short-circuited Mayavadis or they're just there's no anyone to talk to all days today, but everybody, all the disciples want to see him standing. She was very concerned because she had a guru in India and she wanted to ask him a question about because the guru prayed in Mayavadi but was demanding absolute surrender and everything, and she wanted to clear some questions about. I could never talk to her. But that's a big problem. Most of the gurus today are Mayavadis. Lord Chaitanya followers, what is the scriptural verse that says, Avaishnava Mabud Girnan Putam Hari Katha Vrita Sadhana Maiva Kvartavyam Sarpuchistana Matapaya. That just like now touched by the lips of a poisonous serpent is not to be drunk. Similarly, the nectar of pastimes of Lord Chaitanya or Krishna are not to be heard from the lips of a non-Vaishnava. It's always twisted to their point of view. There's a piece of paper. No, you can speak, but if somebody prefers to write it, then you get a priority. During preaching for new people, is there a specific step to preach? For example, do you tell them that you are not the body first, then talk about Krishna and so on? In preaching, there's the sloka that says, Kal Desha Patra. It's anonymous, I don't know who wrote it. So time, place, and circumstance. That you can't really separate that from preaching, because it's like preaching is like being a doctor. You want to give the medicine, you got all kinds of medicines, right? The doctor has so many kinds of medicines that they can apply. But every patient is like different. Usually you go the easiest way first. Don't get into big controversial points first. Try the easy way. That's the moment. But with experience you start to learn where's the person. You have to listen a little bit enough to know where the person is at. What their point of view is, so that you can give the correct answer. If you don't listen a little bit to them and know what their question is, what their doubts are, what their point of view is, when you just start speaking, then you may be addressing a totally different point than what they were thinking. Usually we go, but if you want a general rule of thumb, is you take the easiest points first. But there may be always exceptions. There may be a person who just has a particular question. And if you go through some routine, okay, you're not the body, you're this person, you may miss the whole point. What their question is, what their doubt is. You may raise up new questions. So you want to directly try to, if you can address specific doubt they have first, and then after that, you can go to the I don't know. Which are the octuplus pastimes of Radha and Krishna? Octuplus. There's an Ashtakalina Lila. Kind of an esoteric Ashtakal means that there's like, in a day of 24 hours, you divide the day up in 3-hour segments. So 3 times 8 is 24, right? So for every 3 hours, there's a different place, a different lila that goes on. So some devotees, when they become very Krishna conscious, then they meditate on the Lord. This time of day, he's doing this activity. Midday, he goes to the Radha Kund, and then he goes to this place, and it's like there's a whole routine what he does in Vrindavan. So that's called Ashtakali Lila. But It's not essential for us to know those things at this point.
Guru Maharaj, if the ego is part of this material body,
False ego.
false ego,
Sort
sort of can how can we do like do we ever get rid of that false ego?
Yes. When you leave the material world, then your gross and subtle body are
Within this body, within this lifetime that we live.
then your ego really goes there. I am the soul. This is me. Satchidananda soul. Yes?
The question about reincarnation. Seems like, most of us been gives reincarnation. Most of us been around eons. It should be like thousands of lifetimes. Should we like get a couple seconds of flashback for most of us to see the past life? Or seems like most of us don't get that flashback. And like every 100 years there's about 4 billion people die. 10% of that, 400 million people. 1% of that is 40 million people. It seems like only 1 or 2 people be bingo.
What's the question?
The question is, if reincarnation exists, should we take a couple seconds of flashback and remember past life? People who've been around so long.
If reincarnations visit, should we have flashbacks?
Couple seconds, yeah.
Couple second flashbacks. Why a couple seconds or a couple minutes?
Or more.
I think, most people do have what they call I've been there, I've been here before, or some kind of premonition, I don't know what the technical word for it is. Deja vu feeling. How many of you ever had a deja vu? So that connection with the subconsciousness is there. But somebody asked you the problem, when do you really remember our previous life? And the Prabhupada said that, well, you've already got so much maya and so much distraction in your mind from this life. So if you're going to remember your previous life, it's going to become much more common, it'll be worse. In my previous life, my wife, she did this to me. It was really bad. And all my husband cheated on me. Maybe this life, the husband's going to cheat on me too. Whatever, all kinds of stuff. You become a real psychosis. And subconsciously, it is for some people. There was a lady who was always doubting her husband. This is a psychology case history, and the husband said, I'm honest, I'm really not messing around with anybody else, I'm not looking, I really love my wife, but she always doubted me. So they took her to a psychologist, and he couldn't find any reason why she was doubting, but she had this very intense paranoia. So then he took her in a regression, where by hypnosis they can take a person to their previous life. And this is now you're 14, 12, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now you're back in the womb of your mother. Now you're in your previous life. Now, speak to me in English and don't move they tell people things like this, sometimes they go in the previous life and it's like, and they start, they start speaking other languages. They tell them what to do and not to move, and they start freaking out sometimes. Anyway, so they took her back, and then she was, in her previous life, she says she was in Scotland. She got married when she was 19, it was in a, something like that, and I remember all the details of it was like. She got married in this L-shaped church, that's for sure. And, but then, it took her a year after, like this, very soon after her marriage, for some reason, her husband took off and left. And so, that was the reason why that she was always fearing that this husband would leave. That was his conclusion. Took her back, brought her out. Now here they had the whole thing on video, and they had this time they had like Scotland's an old place. It's been around for thousands of years and more. So they went there and actually researched. Is there such a church in such a town? Was she give the name, her name, her husband's name? So they found there was such a church. It was L-shaped church. And the church had records going back for eons. So then they checked in the record and they found out that there was such a lady who married such a man at that time, 18, whatever it was. So there's like all kinds of this. We had here a few years ago a parapsychologist that came, I don't know, para or psychologist, but he was, I think he was even a professor at some of one of the universities around here. I think he said he did perform 10,000 regressions. That's another thing. I was like, I can imagine how long that took him to do. But he had so many case histories of taking people back, regression, OEB, out of body, OOB, out of body experiences, OBE, out of body. Also, he was talking about near-death experience, different things. So he had all kinds of case histories that he was talking about. But so there is like that kind of, and also how do you explain it? How did this person know, have this experience in this life? They were feeling fearful, apprehensive, and husband will leave me. She was paranoid all the time. Always doubting him. Then she take her back and she has this experience and she says how she was deserted in her previous life. So there's these kind of evidences also, I don't know. I know I had a disciple, I have a disciple, and, who was quite good at regression. Used to go, I remember went to South America and the Council General of Peru wanted to be regressed. He regressed her. A few people like that. He was regressing people to previous lives. So people, if you use that system, you can, everybody who wants to, they can find out the previous life. But one devotee told me that when we were regressed, they found that they were like a warrior in Rajasthan or something. And they were there in the some battle fighting with some other Rajputs or something. He says it's not like that, like watching the TV or something. You were there. It's like a memory. You're there. You can smell the blood. You can smell the horses and the dust and the screaming and the emotions. You're reliving exactly what you were doing in some previous life. It was really heavy. It's called epistemology. Sorry, take this. So, you want a technical explanation, you want a simple explanation, which one do you want? One thing is, Prabhupada gives you a simple explanation of deductive knowledge that materially we come to conclusions based on our experience. So that has certain limitations. They say that you see every swan you see is white. So you finally, after you've seen so many swans, you've seen 100,000 swans, and everywhere you've seen swans and they're all white. So you deduct that, okay, swans are white. You never went to the Rhine River or wherever it is, somewhere in Germany, they have actually black swans. And all of a sudden you see a black swan, your whole deductive reasoning is disproved. Right, so material knowledge, it's always limited. You're never 100% sure because it's based on what you're observing. Just like what's it here, the FDA, whatever, the Food and Drug Administration, they approve medicine, so they'll make some company test, how many thousands or hundreds of people, and then after testing, if nothing shows up, wrong, then okay, they give a permission. But then after some time, when it goes in the market and millions of people are using it, then they find that for every 100,000 people, 16 people go blind, they get paralyzed, they get leukemia or something. Then they withdraw the medicine from the shelf and so on. Because you're never 100% sure. You're just deducting based on what you're observing. So the more people you observe, then obviously more. But there's always the possibility that there's some other situation that you didn't know about. Whereas spiritual knowledge is called inductive reasoning, where we are getting the truth from the absolute truth himself. So it's being handed down by the disciplic succession. And therefore, then we get this inductive, then we get the explanation. Why something's happening. A simple example is that maybe there's a noise upstairs. So we start thinking, what's happening? Something's wrong. We start speculating, maybe somebody's playing ping pong on the floor, or some people playing golf. You go upstairs, you find that somebody's sick and they have athletic fit and head's hitting the You can hear speculating, you don't know what's going on. You go up, then you find out somebody comes and tells you this is what's happening. So that's inductive. Somebody is telling you from experience, but in this sense it's from the transcendental experience. So it's actually more, we think that if you see it, it's to believe it, but it's not necessarily so. People living in an island, in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, they would see the sun come out of the ocean in the morning from the east, and they would see it set in the ocean in the west. So they deducted that the sun is born from the ocean, and every night it dies in the ocean. It's reborn every day. Because that's all they can see, right? They don't see anything else. That was their experience. So, but if we actually, somebody from the broader perspective, someone who has transcendental knowledge, they can hand that down, and that's actually reliable. You get the knowledge, it's not subject to the 4 defects of material observers. That they have imperfect senses, that they're liable to cheat, that they are subject to illusion, and they make mistakes. Any other questions?
In the 10th section of Bhagavatam, there's a description of devotional service with sequence of donation.
Yeah, Kapila Muni's instruction.
Devotional service, movements and touch movements. Is there any wish of devotional service with Mayavadi message body, or Mayavadi, commission Mayavadi would be applicable like the ignorance or something else?
These are the people who are trying to achieve liberation, are considered immortal goodness. So then, if they achieve it, then they're also considered transcendental or partial realization. And people that do devotional service out of anger, revenge, I'm going to be a better devotee, I'm going to come up to everyone, I'm going to show that guy, I'm the best devotee in this ashram. So that's like, you know, the motive there is like kind of anger. And then somebody says, I'm going to do devotional service because, you know, I want to get that Rasa Guas, I don't know. I want to do devotional service so I can get the blessings of Krishna to become the king of Timbuktu. So that's devotional service mixed with passion. And somebody who does a devotional service because they want liberation, or they want elevated, different way of it. It becomes like in the mode of goodness, not harming anybody else, not, you know, that something that's. But somebody wants to serve Krishna because they want to please Krishna. It says there's unlimited permeations of mixed devotion. Just like you can mix the primary colors of yellow, blue, yellow, red, and blue, you get millions and millions of unlimited kinds of colors. So you mix these different desires with devotional service, you get so many different shades of color. That doesn't satisfy the heart, because it's mixed. But pure devotional service is only one kind. How many here want pure devotional service? Thank you very much. Premananda Gora does.
Guru Maharaj says Srila Prabhupada is the Jagat Guru of the universe, and he is the pure representative of Krishna. The only way to obtain pure devotional service is by serving him through ISKCON in this lifetime, in this next, let's say, 10,000 years.
De parampara.
It's the only way to obtain pure devotional service by serving him. He gave his orders.
No, we don't present things in that kind of absolute way. We rather say it in a more positive way that, as you said, okay, one should perform devotional service, pure devotional service. Srila Prabhupada was a pure devotee. He presented the process of pure devotional service in an ideal way, in a practical way, to practice in this time. So, if you want to achieve pure devotional service, you're sure to be able to achieve that if you follow Srila Prabhupada's teachings. To say that, well, there's no other pure devotee, no, Prabhupada never specifically said that. He may have other God brothers and other Vaishnavas. Then we have to judge whether they're pure or not. We don't just make a category statement, okay, we're the only people that have ever been pure devotees. Because it's open for anybody to be a pure devotee. They follow the scriptures, if they follow the previous acharyas. So we're not saying that the Prabhupada never made that kind of statement, that we're the only way. In that sense. For the other sense, he said that if you want to be Krishna conscious without practicing Krishna consciousness, following Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, following the outside of the Krishna conscious movement, then you're hallucinating. He also said something, because practically, we're at that time, where was anybody else practicing? But at the same time, we don't make such kind of absolute category statements, general. Nobody can ever be Krishna conscious. This is practically. It's more of a practice and not theoretically. Someone can. Anybody reads the scriptures, theoretically could. But practically they can't unless they have a bona fide guru and so many other factors. But otherwise, it says one can, by chanting Hare Krishna, they can achieve perfection even without going through all the formal processes of initiation or samskaras. But generally, one needs to have, that's just glorifying that the holy name is powerful enough that it could deliver somebody. Say that somebody got one of Prabhupada's books in Eskimo land or somewhere, somewhere where there's no devotees, out in the middle of Antarctica or something, some place where there's no devotees. I don't know where that place is, but they read Prabhupada's books, they follow the instructions, they start chanting. Then there's no reason why they couldn't get back to Krishna also.
Haribo!
But say that there is such a place and they're struggling, trying to figure it out, and they're confused. Krishna sends them a guru. Krishna sends them someone to help them. Without a false ego, I don't need anybody, I'll do it on my own. They reject that person. Then that's considered offensive. So the holy name has the power, but whether the person can understand it, whether they apply it, in most cases Krishna sends some help because although the holy name has the power, but you're much safer. It's recommended that one should have a guru. What's the problem with saying that? Sometimes we say, my godbrothers are preaching, and sometimes we say, well, some of my godbrothers are preaching, they're trying, they're not doing so much, but they're trying. And you would appreciate this one, that one, they're also trying to preach, Principles are absolute. Prabhupada followed those principles, we also apply the principles he gave us. We follow his footsteps, we're going to achieve that. The good results. Anybody is always free to follow the same principles. Nobody's stopping them. So if they do, then they're also following Prabhupada, in one sense. Prabhupada is following the previous Acharya. Practically, that we have to see who's actually following. We personally have confidence that Prabhupada gave the best way. We're trying to convince the other missions and other organizations to come in line with Prabhupada's vision. That's the safest way, that's the authorized way. Somebody's envious, different things you can pick out. Somebody's envious against Prabhupada, envious against the Lord. Then you can say, well, they're not. You're the always envious. Last question. This one.
Would you explain the difference between a Siksha Guru and a Diksha Guru?
Chaitanya Charitamrita Prabhupada explains. devotees instructive. Usually the first devotees that instruct you, show you the way, convince you, help you become convinced about practicing Krishna consciousness. They're usually called the Vartama Pradarshaka Gurus, the Gurus that show the way. Then you get some instruction from different gurus. And usually the guru that gets the most instruction, many Shiksha Gurus are giving instruction. With different Shiksha Gurus that give instruction. Amongst them, usually the one that gives the most instruction becomes the Diksha Guru. But it's up to the disciple to decide who they want to take Diksha from. That's their prerogative. So when they take initiation from one of their Shiksha Gurus, they take initiation. And then that person becomes a Diksha Guru. So he takes a commitment to see that the disciple gets back to Krishna with a contract, a caveat that if the disciple doesn't get back, then they have to come back again either to get the disciple, or somehow he has to arrange to get the disciple back. And that the Diksha Guru under normal traditional circumstances is considered to be the primary Guru. And the other Shiksha Gurus assist him to get the disciple back. There may be some exceptional circumstances where the Diksha Guru authorizes, or somehow a Shiksha Guru is authorized to be the primary shelter Guru. But that's like extraordinary. Normally just the statutory arrangement is the Diksha Guru is considered the primary Guru and everybody else helps him. So leave out little complications or exceptions. Now some, of course, some Shiksha Gurus may also voluntarily take a very big responsibility. Some take more, some take less to deliver the disciple. So voluntarily. If a Shiksha Guru gives an instruction to a disciple and the disciple follows him, because they follow him, they accrue some bad karma or something. The instruction wasn't correct, it wasn't a good instruction. The Shiksha Guru is responsible for that, and he is liable to get reactions. But otherwise, if the disciple, just in the ordinary course of their daily activities, they start to break principles or they accrue some bad karmas or something, it's the Diksha Guru who has to take the responsibility. Shiksha Guru is responsible for whatever he instructs. But the Diksha Guru has got total responsibility for what's happening with the disciple. That's why Prabhupada said once that if a disciple disobeys the Guru or breaks the principles, then he's considered a Guru Druhi, a killer of the Guru, because he's causing the Guru to suffer. So being a Shiksha Guru is a little less of a karmic implication. But you're still responsible for wherever the Shiksha Guru is responsible, wherever he or she instructs. In some cases, the Shiksha Guru becomes a shelter Guru, ashram Guru. It's kind of a it functions like a Diksha Guru. We're not going to go beyond 9:30 and 11, we're going to get the rest of the time to get up to more.
Give up the modify with the last again administration for another modify super
Chaitanya Charitamrita says that somebody gives up a bona fide spiritual master and rejects a bona fide spiritual master, you won't get another bona fide one for 10 million births. It says 1 crore equity. There was one time there was this Kitai Das who took initiation from some Vrajavasi guru and was speaking against Prabhupada a little bit, and gives these Krishna conscious wise to the something. So then Prabhupada banned him, said he's just become a snake and he won't come to the temple. And then at one point Prabhupada said he won't get a bona fide guru for 200,000 births. Then people said like, wow, that's heavy. He said, no, I reduced it. Normally it's supposed to be from 10 million to 200,000. I said, how many that's it's only, how much is that? 2%. 98% discount. So it's a heavy thing to reject bona fide guru. Is that?
Okay, I don't know, this is a controversial question regarding this, but I had a question before. I don't know what to ask. For example, what happens? Okay, the simplest one. Okay. For example, sometimes one has a strong desire,
I'm so sorry. These some feathers. Does anybody here like to help prepare for tomorrow's offering? There's some things which can be cut now and then they
have strong.
Does the loudspeaker work in the kitchen anymore? No.
Nice, strong spiritual desires. Like for example, say, oh, I would like to go to Mayapur, be completely absorbed in devotional service, leave my body. And this is a desire that is compatible with the desires of Guru and Krishna, because Guru and Krishna wants us to go to the spiritual world, being completely absorbed in devotional service. So why it happens that sometimes it doesn't really manifest? One has this strong desire. And there are so many activities in the process of Krishna consciousness that can satisfy these desires if they are bona fide. So why sometimes they take forever? Or they don't have it?
Well, because someone may have so many bona fide desires, but Krishna may have his own plan also. We don't know what Krishna's plan is. We have another plan. Just like I said, Prabhupada was happy to remain in his house or something, but then he was reminded that he had to carry out the order of his guru, so then finally he went to there. Or maybe somebody's happy to remain in Vrindavan, nice place, but then they need to go out and preach, spread Krishna consciousness. So.
Thank you for watching our videos. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We publish new videos every day, and don't forget to like and share our channel.